Balakun, a bridge to Ukraine. Join the conversation at balakun.co.
Балакун – міст в Україну. Долучайтесь до наших розмов на www.balakun.co.
Please subscribe!
So welcome, episode 2. How are you feeling about episode 2, Vit?
I'm excited about it.
Yeah.
I have much information and I'm proud of what I've learned.
The topic we're doing today is exciting startups that we like from Ukraine and possibly one or two from New Zealand as well.
And actually, we'll talk about those businesses that started as startups and developed into well-known businesses. Like Ukraine's startup ecosystem has been rapidly evolving in recent years. It gained recognition on the global stage for its innovation, technical talent, entrepreneurial spirit, and we have many skilled people in technology, especially in things like computer software, artificial intelligence, online shopping, cybersecurity. And one of the key strengths of Ukrainian startup landscape is its highly skilled workforce who are technically proficient professionals, many of whom have experience working with multinational corporation or leading tech companies, as we have many people who started abroad and gained their experience there, and they brought that experience back home and built their own business.
Mm-hmm.
And in recent years, Ukrainian startups have gained significant attention and funding from both domestic and international investors. And this increased investment activity has been crucial in fueling the growth of promising startups, enabling them to scale their operations, develop innovative products, and expand into new markets. Actually, we have this digital infrastructure that's really amazing and has no similarities in the world. Like there's no such thing in the world as you have all your documents in your smartphone. I'll stick to it a bit, as one of the products of DIA is education and small business support. So digital infrastructure has several products for different purposes, as I mentioned. There's this cool app that I mentioned, that I talked about. It allows to have all these documents in your phone, such as ID, passport, birth certificate, tax ID, driver license, car registration, COVID certificates, and other important stuff. And there's a DIA portal for citizens and for business that allows to receive governmental bills and some certificates, official information bills, and you can register your business there, your sole trade business. You can manage your taxes, you can search for grants, you can use digital signature with this portal and with app also, and a lot of other useful stuff. And DIA itself was first presented on September 27th, 2019 by the Minister of Digital Transformation of Ukraine as a brand of state in smartphone project. When I heard about it for the first time, I thought it might be some kind of limited or even unrealistic project. Yet, Vice Prime Minister and Minister of Digital Transformation, Mikhailo Fedorov, announced the creation of a mobile app and web portal that would unite in single place all the services provided by the state to citizens and business. And in 2020, in the beginning of 2020, the mobile app was officially launched. And during the presentation, our president, Volodymyr Zelensky, said that 9 million Ukrainians have now access to their driver license and car registration. While Prime Minister of that time, Oleksiy Goncharuk, called the implementation of the state in smartphone project a priority for the government. I have no driver license, neither do I have a car, so I remember downloaded it and wondering what use it would be. And eventually I had my ID, tax ID, and it was awesome. And during COVID, by the time vaccine became available, a lot of people started to use DIA app in order to get vaccination certificate there. And eventually international certificates started to be recognized by the other countries. So you could just authorize in DIA app, go abroad and show these certificates, and many European countries recognized it, and you don't have to have paper ones with you.
Is it also a way for referendums or
It's more like polls. It's not
polls?
referendums.
I see.
Yeah, it's more like governmental polls. There were some polls about Eurovision, like who will be on the jury. What do you do with Ukraine motherland? Yeah, this statue. What you will do with the Soviet symbol on it. Not that everyone in Ukraine has this app, but the majority do, and it's in use for the government to know the opinion of citizens about what they think about it.
Yeah, but nothing would be legally binding on the app. It was just a way of gauging the public opinion about certain things.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And when there were some discussions about elections during war, there was a thought that you can use the app, but many people thought it was controversial to use it.
Yeah. I see.
And actually, speaking in terms of small business support, there are two products. It's Dear City and Dear Business. Dear City is an infrastructure, like virtual infrastructure for tax residency. In 2019, in May, the government presented this Dear City as a large-scale project which would establish the virtual model of free economic zone, like it says. And it provides unique tax and legal space for IT business, making it easier, less expensive, and in comparison with other countries' taxations, has twice lower taxation. And it's possible not for only Ukrainian business and for international business to be residents of this Dear City. And speaking of Dear Business project, it's a national project for development of entrepreneurship and exports. And this project has two components. It's online portal and a network of support centers for entrepreneurs. And it's the key point of support. There are two. These are two key points of small business support. They have their developed small and medium business is the key to economic stability and development. So that's their philosophy. And the third product that I wanted to talk about regarding small business support or medium business support is Dear Education. It's a portal for people who want to be entrepreneurs or they want to change their occupation, like try different new professions, or just to have some media proficiency or cybersecurity proficiency. It has more than 200 educational products, and already 2.5 million certificates were issued by this project.
So how widely is it used? What percentage of the population use DIA? Approximately.
I don't have the statistics. Me personally, I use it and I enjoy it. I enjoy it. I think that most of us students use it. It's more like a younger population, I think.
I see.
And those people who have smartphones, I can say.
Right.
It gained that popularity actually during COVID.
Yeah,
So
as
you
a
have
way
this COVID vaccine certificates, and it was the main mean of gaining popularity.
we should start our conversation by saying our background, because I think you've worked for a startup or do work for a startup. without giving away too much information, we don't claim to be experts about any of the topics we talk about, but in this case, we've both worked at startups, I think. Is that correct?
Yeah, but the startup I mean is not a startup anymore. It's more like a company. It's not worldwide known, but it's represented in many countries, and we have clients from different countries. So it won't be right to tell that it is a startup. But
Yeah.
when we started it's like a startup. We search for new ideas, some cases, and it was a constant brainstorming.
Yeah, and so that's the same for me. We are now an established company, but when I first started at the company where I work, we were a startup of about 15 people. So my background is more in the kind of biotech industry. How about you? Are you more in IT?
IT and hotel industry.
We know a little bit about what we're talking about this time, since we both worked at startups. But should we go to the news now as an
Yeah, sure.
introduction? Yeah.
Sure.
Okay. So the story that I picked today was about the closing of the Finnish border. And to be honest, I'm
At last.
surprised it took so long. I'm surprised they didn't
Yeah.
close it a lot sooner. And it seems as though this shipping of asylum seekers is the same thing that happened to the Polish border from Belarus. Do you think that's true?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
It's
So
like, this hybrid war against Europe.
yeah. And to be honest, I'm surprised it took so long for Finland to close the border. But I also wanted to just comment on how the news stories have kind of been taken over. There used to be a lot more stories about what's happening in Ukraine, but there seems to be a shift since the start of the conflict in the Middle East that there's not as much being reported from an international perspective anyway. But that was, yeah, my story was about Finland closing its border, and the reasons for it is that there's, as you said, hybrid warfare going on of an attempt to destabilize the European Union by importing a whole lot of asylum seekers. And the response from, I just saw today a response from the Russian side was that, this is aggressive. This is because they're building NATO camps on the Finnish border, and it's just so completely out of touch with reality, as most propaganda is from the state TV. But what did you think about that
And
story?
as they claim always, it's Russophobia.
Yeah,
They like this word very much. Like everything that goes against them or as a response to their aggression is Russophobia.
Mm-hmm. So they're slowly getting isolated from the world, from that direction anyway.
Yes, it was, I don't really remember who claimed it, that there should be a very high fence and crocodiles around with this trench with water and crocodiles around it.
That reminds me of a joke someone told me about, you probably heard this one already. A Ukrainian and a Russian meet a genie who granted a wish, and the Russian says, build a big wall around Russia to protect us from our enemies. And the Ukrainian says, have you built the wall? And the genie says yes, and he says, okay, fill it with concrete.
Yeah. My news of the week is that European Parliament leadership supports talk to Ukraine's accession to European Union. It's really great news, as I thought that almost 2 years ago, we didn't even think about having this on our agenda. It was not that close. And now we are just not the candidates. We are on our last steps to return into European cradle.
That's very
Yeah, and it happened actually on Tuesday, 28th, and so we take the news from the last week, like the most prominent event of the week, and the president of European Parliament said Ukraine is making impressive efforts to implement reforms that the Conference of Presidents of European Parliament confirmed today that Ukraine has demonstrated a solid basis for open accession talks. So this type of news, just groundbreaking.
Yeah, that's incredible. How much do you think it's been sped up by the war? Do you think it would have happened otherwise?
It would, but it would be a little bit longer.
Yeah.
I say several years longer. It's like the war became the catalyst for reuniting of Ukraine into European Union as it has been centuries ago.
Yeah, and I guess it's put more urgency on it as well.
The urgency is crucial.
Let's go back to startups. Did you want to start with an example of a startup company from Ukraine?
Yeah, first, when you decided on the topic startups, the first one that came to mind is Reface. Now it's a bit large company, but it started like a small startup in Kyiv Mohila Academy by 3 students. And they have founded this ML startup called Neocortex in 2011. And by today, it evolved into a big company with 250 million downloads. And worldwide known celebrities like Snoop Dogg, Miley Cyrus, Britney Spears, Justin Bieber, Dua Lipa use this app actually, and Reface are proud of their users. Like they put it on their website that those celebrities are among the top users of this app.
And what is the purpose
So
of Reface?
it's face swap
Oh, I see.
technology.
Yeah, I see.
Yeah, like you can take your photo, use some video clip from some film or music video, and you substitute the face of the person on the movie or on the movie with your face, and it's just amazing.
So where are they
Yeah, and
now? Are
actually
they
this
worldwide?
technology is not that simple as when such technology started to evolve, many were troubled about deepfake usage of the deepfake in the news or in political rushes. So, but actually, this app is more fun. Like
Yeah.
yeah, it's not for some other purpose. You cannot download your own. You can just use the samples that are free for use.
That's cool. The one I wanted to start with was my favorite app for teaching, actually, is Grammarly, which probably a lot of people who are listening have used it, but they didn't realize that it was a Ukrainian company. But it was started by Ukrainians, and this news article I found says 200 million investment round announced by popular grammar checking tool Grammarly catapulted the company's value to 13 billion. So it's a success story of a Ukrainian startup. Do you use Grammarly?
I use it daily, but I knew that it was Ukrainian, but I never dug in the story of this company.
So it's calling itself an American cloud-based. I guess that's because it's now based in San Francisco, like most big tech companies, but started in Ukraine as a browser extension for detecting plagiarism, actually. So it was a way of testing whether someone's cheated with a document. And it was first used by university students who wanted to improve their English skills. And later it was offered to end user customers. And now it's a subscription-based interface. But even the free version, I think, is really helpful because it allows you to do things like change the tone of your writing, and it uses AI to allow you to do that. Do you find it very helpful?
Yeah, I use free version. It's more in use for autocorrect. It's rare that I use it to correct the text itself, but sometimes it's really in use. So it's my daily routine. I just installed a plugin for browser, and when I work on some tasks, replying emails or writing some docs, I have this autocorrection, and I don't have to spend time on looking through the text to find some misspells or some actual mistakes in the text.
Okay, let's pause the discussion now for this week's interesting fact.
The fun fact is the first song that was performed in space was "Дивлюся на небо і думку гадаю." I look at the sky and think. It was sung by Ukrainian cosmonaut Pavlo Popovich on the Soviet station Vostok 2, and especially for Ukrainian spacecraft designer Serhiy Korolev.
Wow.
As we talked last
Yeah.
episode about him being Ukrainian. I think it's funny.
So the first song to be performed
Yeah,
in
that
space.
ever been performed in outer space.
That's amazing. So if aliens are picking up our transmissions from space, that's what we'll hear.
Yeah.
That's very cool. That's very cool. All right. I have to confess I don't have a fun fact this time. I'm sorry.
No, it's okay. It's okay.
Okay. So should we talk about another company?
Yeah. We'll talk about, as you've mentioned about educational one. I wanted to talk about Preply company.
Preply.
It's a platform. Yeah, it's a platform for which learning.
I think I've seen it. You can register as a teacher. I think I remember seeing it.
Yeah.
Being able to.
Yeah, it's really popular worldwide, and I never knew that was ours. I never used it, and I just heard that there is this platform of Preply that allows teachers and students to these lessons, and there's an artificial intelligence match in their core, but I never knew that it was Ukrainian.
I didn't know
And
either. Yeah.
yeah, it was founded in 2012 by Ukrainian entrepreneurs Bihai, Dmitro Voloshin, and Lukyanov. And with the three guys who just started it, and now it has more than 35,000 tutors and over 50 languages in it.
Wow.
And as I mentioned, they added this AI algorithm to connect students with tutors. So for Balakun,
Yeah,
we need
yeah,
to
yeah. That's
have
interesting.
such,
Yeah.
to avoid spending time on such things.
Yeah. That whenever I hear something like that, I'm always like, "Ooh, how do I get in touch with them?"
Yeah.
Yeah. That's really cool. I'd heard of the company, but I didn't know that they were Ukrainian, like with Grammarly. The other one I wanted to talk about was called Patron Badge, which is basically getting credit for your donations. So donors get unique badges for each donation, and they can build their collection over time. So it's a way that people, their online personas, can collect badges or collect credit for the donations that they make. And it was born out of necessity to combat fatigue amongst people who donate to you. Gives them a sense of accomplishment for the long term and generous donors. And I think it's going to be a really cool way of, showing you're part of this community as well, and to work with them at Balakun as well to reward people for hours that they've spent mentoring as well. And so it sort of gamifies your charity.
Do they have military badges or just their own?
It's like you can customize them. So you could make your own type of badge for your specific
wow.
purpose. Yeah. And users can attach them to their social media profiles. They also have a way of setting up.
It's a really great initiative.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What
So
was
like people spending money to have some stickers in some messengers are pointless, or they spend money on something that cannot touch, like some
teas?
non-fungible tokens.
Yeah.
But those badges, they
Actually
can
use
have
it.
it as a symbol of their initiatives.
Yeah, and their solidarity as well. I think it's a really cool idea, and it's something that could be applied to so many different platforms, so many non-profit organizations and things like that. Was your next company or startup on your list?
Next company that also started as a startup is AJAX. AJAX. AJAX, it's as guy, I know
I
AJAX
see.
is more like JavaScript markup language. So I call it the same, AJAX.
I see.
In Ukraine, we call it AJAX. I don't know, maybe they go with a different pronunciation in worldwide. I don't know, but actually they are worldwide recognized, and they have awards in Europe, like, on some marketplaces, but exhibitions they have rewards. It's a company that makes everything to protect your house or your flat. It have smart outlets, smart plugs, detection, water leak detection, or instability detection, and door open detection. And build this of like smart house. They started in 2011, and their goal at that time was to be a place in the medium between inexpensive Chinese brands and expensive Western ones. So like the product for everyone. So that was their main objective in the beginning, and in 2012 they issued first detectors, and in 2015 they went wireless. So we have these motion detectors, door window open, smoke, glass break detectors, and really great. And during full-scale invasion, we built this alert app. One that there is an alert.
Yeah. That reminds me of, do you remember the TV show I, Robot?
Yeah.
Yeah, there's someone who has a smart house in that, and it turns against them, and someone hacks into it.
Yeah.
Common
It's
sci-fi.
really a plot for many Black Mirror episodes.
Yeah, definitely. It also reminds me of that video you shared about the UN home security.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That funny one.
we should put a link to that in the description. Yeah, that was good. How about that meme? I'm gonna do the one of that guy driving in the car with places to do and people to see. Can you explain that to our non-Ukrainian audience?
Yeah, it refers to Taras Shmut's interview. Taras Shmut is a leader of Back in the Life company or non-profit organization. Yeah, and in one interview, he's ahead of it, and in one interview that he says that told that he's not that involved in all the processes in organization. He just more involved. He does what he likes and part of some interesting projects. So.
Yeah.
We know that this non-profit organization is the only that is allowed to weapons on behalf of state.
Yeah.
And those interesting projects can be understood both ways.
Mm-hmm. I see. And that Balakun Live has been around since 2014, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's one of the biggest, one of the most well-known, I think.
On behalf of the state, not just for their private use, but on behalf of state and for military purposes. It's not that they are buying for themselves and use it like para troopers. It's their
Not a private military company. They're
yeah
just
yeah.
buying.
It's not militarization at all. It's more of a charity organization for help.
They've raised millions, I think.
If it's not billions.
Yeah.
Yeah, they do just amazing job.
Should I tell you about a New Zealand company I think is exciting?
Yeah, sure. It would be great. And after that, I'll just finish up with naming some of companies that were startups also and known worldwide.
I was at a conference this year that was organized by Biotech New Zealand, and there were lots of really interesting companies there. But one of my favorites was a cute name. It's called Daisy Labs, and they are basically doing what's called precision fermentation, which is just a nicer way of saying genetic engineering. They've rebranded genetic engineering by calling it, well, not this company, but the whole industry is trying to rebrand genetic engineering by calling it precision fermentation to make it sound less scary. They are developing a way to create dairy products like cheese and yogurt and milk so they're genetically modifying the yeast to make specific tastes of products that will taste like cheese or cream or the dairy products. So it's going to be something, in the future when we're running out of space and running out of the ability to produce dairy, it's going to be what companies like this that are making our food from cultures that they grow on agar, which don't take up very much space and don't damage the environment the same way that the dairy industry does. And it's quite interesting because obviously agriculture and dairy is one of our biggest export products. It's interesting to see how they're kind of navigating the landscape of to be a disruptive technology, but I think it's definitely something that's going to be needed in the future as a way of producing products more sustainably without damaging the environment as much.
And I thought it was very useful for those with the lactose intolerance or vegetarian oriented or vegan even.
Yeah.
So there's there's no milk in it.
Yeah, the person who presented it was said she was a vegan, but realized that there isn't it's not very sustainable to make things vegan either if everything's coming from soy products. So it's sort of her solution to all the environmental damage that especially in New Zealand the farming industry is creating is a way of creating foods from agar plates. And I don't know how they taste right now, but I think that as they get better, they'll taste more like, there's got quite a few companies that are making artificial meat from cells, that basically lab grown meat. Got any companies like that in Ukraine?
I've heard something about that. Actually, we have some supermarkets who have such products, but it's very rare.
Yeah.
So it's almost
incredibly
it's not present
at the moment. Yeah, it's incredibly expensive at the moment to have lab grown meat, but I think it's going to be something that's made in the future. Great for astronauts too, I guess. You can have a fresh steak in space.
Yeah, and it can be preserved also.
Yeah, the problem is gives meat its texture is muscle fibers, and you can't really grow that in a lab very effectively yet. So you can grow muscle cells, but you can't make them form fibers. And well, you can, but it's very expensive. Apply tension and apply strain and stress to the muscle fibers, because that's what gives meat its particular texture. So it's at the moment it's incredibly expensive to make a fake steak. What other companies did you have on your list?
Yeah, I have several. I think that many people use them, but they didn't realize they were Ukrainian, like GitLab portal for developers.
Yeah.
It's an open source DevOps life cycle. It uses Git, it uses system, bug tracking system, wiki, and like for use for development. We have also this one will find it interesting. It's called PetCube, a company that makes gadgets for pet owners. First device that they made was one that allows you to remotely monitor, talk, and play laser games with your pet.
Yeah, awesome.
And for Mac users, for Apple users, it's a MacPaw company that makes antiviruses, cleaners, and several other applications for us. And also they have this subscription system that you can have many applications by with one subscription in it.
Okay.
So you have only one subscription and have the amount of applications to use. Next one is deposit photos. Many people use it, and you can just name them. It's Rido, People AI, Patera, Restream, Fireflight, 3D Look, and Influ, Asper, and I believe that there are a lot more of them. They're just the most popular ones.
What's the PetCube one? I'm interested in this. They make devices that allow you to play games with your dog when you're at home, when you're not at home.
I haven't looked at it as I don't have a pet, unfortunately.
Yeah.
I
might have
I
to
adore animals, but I cannot allow myself to have one.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll give you a link
Yeah,
to
send
it.
me a link.
I think you'll be more than interested in it. It
Yeah.
has this funny website with beautiful animals in it.
Yeah. Yeah. I'll have to have a look at that. I don't know if I told you I recently got a harness for harness to put my GoPro on my dog. Speaking of my dog,
Oh.
she's just started barking. Can you hear that?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. I'm not sure whether my mic picks up Billy, but
Yeah, she talks.
she talks when people walk past the window. It's funny who she barks at. So she doesn't really bark at women and children, but if a big guy walks past, she always goes off at them. It's quite interesting.
Is she trying to protect you, or is she just greeting them?
I think she's I think she's trying to frighten them. She's trying to pretend that she's a big scary dog. So
A big wolf.
a big wolf. Yeah. She's got delusions of grandeur about her size. She thinks that she can take on anyone. But yeah, I got this harness to put the GoPro on the dog, and it's a little bit too big for her, and kind of I think it cramps her style a little bit, but it's quite funny watching the videos from her perspective, because you can see her like ears flapping back as she runs back. It's quite funny. I'll have to send you a video of her first feature film. All right. So should we?
And how's the haircut?
Oh, haircut's great. She was showing it off to everyone who walked past today. She goes and says, "Look at me, look at me." She definitely likes. She's so well behaved for the groomer. Like every time I take her to the groomer, the groomer says, "Oh, she was so well behaved. She was so, tolerant and patient." And then whenever I try to cut her hair, she's like, "Nope, nope, 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 nope."
Leave it to professionals.
Yeah, she's like, you don't know what you're doing." So we've talked about of different companies, and we'll add links to the descriptions if you want to look up any of the ones that we talked about. But it's been an interesting experience looking up some of these companies and finding out where they started and also where they're going. Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how they respond to, you know, the environment of being at a country in war and how they're adapting as well. And there's going to be a lot of, probably some sort of, I don't know if it's the right word to use, but an explosion of technologies coming from Ukraine over the next few years, I imagine. Do you think?
Yeah, we have this ambition to become the most IT proficient country and to export like the biggest international trade would be IT. So it's an ambition of some officials.
Yeah,
Even.
yeah.
And there were some talks that after the occupation of Crimea will become the next Silicon Valley.
That's a nice thought. The San Francisco of Europe.
We go with
we need to do
Ukrainian
a
word today.
Yes, I've been practicing.
Yeah. Yeah, I can come up with a little bit easier one because it has two sounds. Hrby has two sounds that is very hard for foreigners to pronounce.
Yeah.
I cannot come up with this word as we talked about Grammarly and Preply. I come out with the word education, osvita. It will be much easier for you to pronounce. We'll start with easy ones.
Okay. All right, say it again.
Osvita.
Osvita. Osvita.
Yeah. Yeah, and we don't have this aspiration on t like it's in English. We have it without aspiration. Osvita, like this.
Osvita.
Yeah, yeah.
Osvita.
And next is the stress. Osvita.
Osvita. Osvita.
Great, great.
I got it. All right.
Yeah.
My word for you is discombobulate.
Discombobulate.
You got it.
Oh, what does it mean?
Combobulate means to confuse. So the example sentence, this attitude totally discombobulated Bruce, but it's one of those words that nobody ever uses. So you'll probably surprise people if you ever use it, but I thought it would be a fun one to pronounce. Let's wrap it up for today. Thank you so much, everyone, for listening. And if you enjoyed our podcast, please like and subscribe. We'll see you next week with more content.